Good morning. It's Kirsten Liebelt. Good to see you guys. It is Thursday. Come on in, jump on in, you guys. I'm so excited to be here. Today, we're actually going to talk about, so do you guys remember who Dr. Casey Means is? Do you remember the Stanford surgeon who decided that she was going to change her ways? We actually did some lives on her content. Gosh, I'm wondering if it might have been 4 months ago, something like that. And I went back and I found some of her information because she has now been like nominated to be the Surgeon General. And I'm like, okay, this is super interesting because I really liked what she was saying about how she was not taught anything about nutrition or anything, blur, 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 when it came to being a surgeon. So let's go through some of her information today. So the way that I kind of have positioned this today is how insulin resistance, toxins, and sleep deprivation are creating a silent health crisis in America. Because your insulin resistance, you guys, like this is a freaking epidemic. It's really, really bad if you haven't noticed. So if you don't know who I am, let me just give you some of my, sorry about the dinging. I don't know if I can make that stop or not. Maybe not. I don't know if you know who I am. It's okay. Obviously, 8 billion people on the planet. My name is Kirsten Liebelt, and I basically began to reverse my own insulin resistance in my upper 40s. But the big deal about it is the fact that I actually was diagnosed with gestational diabetes when I was 22. So I waited for like over 25 years to even do anything about my own health. So I want to give hope and inspiration to all of mankind. I mean, sort of, kind of kidding, maybe not. I don't know. Good morning, Terry. My dad was type 2 Italian, diabetic, insulin dependent, 2 injections in his belly a day, meds galore, fighting for, competing for function inside of his body every single day. And then he died at 63. So I'm super passionate. I'm super Italian in some ways. My mother was 100% Swedish, so she balances me out a little bit. Makes me a little more maybe normal, if that's what you want to call it. But anyway, but this has like become such an epidemic, and it's not just us, it's in our children. And now I have grandbabies, and I'm very, very interested in my grandbabies and their health and not having them grow up the way that I did. So we're going to talk about some of Dr. Casey Means information today. Like, let's get into it. Housekeeping before we jump in. Good morning, Magda. Because again, this information, if you just kind of want to get like a lay of the land of her perspective on what she has been saying about what she wasn't taught at Stanford as a surgeon, like stick around. We'll be here just for a half a minute today, and then we'll be gone. So, and then today at 3 p.m., housekeeping in the group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women, day 4 of the 5-day challenge. We do these every month, because it gives you an actual real life blueprint of transformation where you can deal with your insulin resistance. And maybe for you, it's getting off of meds. I'm not a doctor, so I don't navigate that with you, but you guys are navigating it and getting off of your own meds. You're losing weight, you're losing inches, you're feeling better. The color is coming back into your life, and you're able to now function at a higher level. And you didn't think before that you were going to be able to feel good and not like trash all the time. But I am here to tell you it is 100% possible. The next thing is that do not forget that if you are, so in March, they launched a customer campaign. And I don't want people to miss out on this, because I do get, I get messages because you all want to make sure that you're staying on track. Okay. So no other company has done this that I know of. And so when you are trying to streamline your supplementation routine, when you're trying to actually make your investment work back, work back for you, like finally somebody has given you something that can help you do that. When you purchase 150 or more 3 months in a row, and this is ongoing, every 3rd month, you can cash in on $75. You can earn back $75. That is a very large return on things that you're already doing. Remember, I talk about how I already know that people are, going to functional medicine left and right because we've got to have answers. We're so tired of not having answers. But then you might be somebody who has spent thousands of dollars on a naturopath or on a line of supplementation that because it was in a clinic, it was more expensive, et cetera. Man, I am so sorry. I don't know how to turn that off. And you might be ready to actually be able to take control of your own routine. And then if you can cash in every 3 months, that's like major bonus. Plus, then you're getting free shipping and all the good stuff. All right. If you have any questions on that, always reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help you navigate. I can help you customize auto ships if you want to, or even just a cart that's specific for you and not just like one size fits all. Okay. All right. So let's get into her information. You guys, this is just, I remember when this all came out, this super riled me up. Let me know if you're on the replay, if you are on the replay and where you're coming in from. I'd love to know. Put a 1 in the comments if you've never seen me before, and put a 2 in the comments if you have. And, like maybe you've just been hanging out a little bit. So let's do this. So did you know that 60% of the food that your kids, or maybe it's your grandkids, are eating is ultra processed, and each additional serving increases their early death by 18%. Now, this is Dr. Casey Means. She's a Stanford surgeon, okay? And she is up for the nomination of Surgeon General right now. And so this is very interesting. So Dr. Casey Means, nominated for the Surgeon General, says what many of us have felt for years, that the system is not built to heal us. I don't think we're super confused about that, but saying it out loud kind of just feels good. Like maybe we're actually going to change a corner here. Maybe, right? She learned nothing. This is all her own stuff. She learned nothing in med school about how toxins, fake food, and even sleep affect our metabolic health. And you guys, our metabolic health, that is your insulin resistance. That is your autoimmune. That is your literally everything. It's your metabolic health. And that's what has not been addressed in our nation. And now from that, remember, I tell you every single day, the very trunk of the tree where everything comes from, the very trunk is insulin resistance, metabolic dysfunction. So that's a problem because metabolic dysfunction is the root of insulin resistance, diabetes, dementia, infertility, and more. And so she was talking about how there's this dark side of the medical education system. Okay. And why food policy is failing our family. She's talking about how we can take back our power and begin reversing insulin resistance naturally. This is a call to wake up, not with fear, but with fierce hope. Like we have to have hope. That's like the whole purpose of doing, when we come here every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, we've been doing this for a little over a year. This is about hope and encouragement and resourcing. Because if I can turn back my insulin resistance and lose 3 sizes in my 50s and not be type 2 at 60, even though I was gestational diabetic at 22 and my dad died of type 2 diabetes at 63 and my entire Italian family is filled with obesity and type 2 diabetes, that should give everybody hope. It is not a sentence, okay? It's just that they did not give you the tools early enough to diagnose your own insulin resistance or to even, they weren't helping you. They weren't helping me. They weren't helping you. And the only thing they had at the end of their conversation was always another med, right? Get it? So there you go. Thank you so much for jumping in, you guys. And thank you for the follow. I so appreciate you. Thank you, TikTok. That's so good. Yeah, you're always good at getting out that information. If you double tap the screen, it gets information out. I so appreciate you. So imagine going to one of the top medical schools in the world, and not learning a single thing about how food, toxins, or even sleep affects chronic disease. Something's wrong, right? That's exactly what Dr. Casey Means says happened to her, and she is not alone. We're being failed by a system that refuses to talk about the real causes of metabolic dysfunction like insulin resistance, and it is time, you guys, to take our health back. I have so much more hope today than every day my hope builds. because of the changes that we are beginning to see happen. And I understand, you guys, it's a big ship. We're turning around a big ship, and I get it. But every change that we make, my daughter does way better than I ever did. And now she's teaching her children. Do you see how that promotes hope in my heart, right? So Dr. Means says that no nutrition classes at Stanford Medical School, no training on environmental toxins, and no awareness of how ultra-processed food shortens our life. This is why she ended up switching her. Good morning, Patty. Good to see you. This is why she ended up switching her course. Okay. Here we go. The shocking stats are 60% of our kids' diets are ultra processed. Can you imagine, you guys? 67%. 67%. It's so high. It's so high, all in the name of convenience, because we're just running. We're running and we're running and we're running. And there's a lot of other factors, but it's like, oh, it's so sad. 93% of industry-funded food studies. Okay, you guys, just buckle up, Buttercup, okay? 93% of industry-funded food studies claim no harm. They've totally lied to us the entire time. I know. If you're sitting on my content, you're like, well, I'm not shocked. I've known this. I understand. But for every one of us that is not shocked anymore because we've actually been paying attention and listening, there are thousands of people who have no clue. Thousands of people who have not woken up at all to any of this. That's why I always tell you guys, listen, I covet your referrals of customers. And so I will bonus you with Amazon money for referrals, because if I can help one more person deal with their own insulin resistance, like, this is a really big deal. You can always ask me about that. I'm not going to go into that right now. 95% of those writing the US food guidelines, sit down for this one. 93% of those writing the US food guidelines have ties to the food industry. Oh my gosh, you're kidding. I'm so surprised. I know we're not. No wonder insulin resistance is on the rise. We are being told to manage symptoms with medications instead of addressing the root cause. Okay, so she talks about microplastics, pesticides, heavy metals in our food and our water and our air now. She's like, this is really, we are at the brink of, bigger issues than we even have right now. But they are all linked to hormone disruption, infertility, Alzheimer's, and gut damage. And you know my story. If you know anything about my story, my mom ended up with Alzheimer's. We took care of her for the last 5 years of her life. Infertility is really rampant, and we have to ask ourselves why. Like, this is not confusing, right? I mean, it's that used to not be when we were growing up, right? Maybe people just didn't talk about, but it really is like at a much higher rate now. And the hormone disruption, like, this is super. We are uneducated as to how the fact that insulin is a hormone, and that when your insulin goes up or is too high, and basically you've got very high, inappropriate levels of insulin in your body. Inappropriate, that sounds weird, but you know what I'm saying. It's not right. It's turning up all your other hormones upside down. And so what happens is, we literally, just like me, and this is what I'm the most convinced of, is that we enter perimenopause and we are hot mess express. That was me, major hot mess express. But I didn't realize that my insulin was the tipping over of the other hormones and making it worse, just totally exacerbating everything. She talks about the indoor lifestyle and sleep deprivation linked to prediabetes. And she was saying that we don't need to live in fear, but we do need to get informed. This dysfunction is driving insulin resistance, and it's reversible when we take daily action. But she said that the average American child is spending less time outside than a prisoner. in our state prisons or federal prison. She didn't say one or the other, but prisons in general. Like, we're not getting the sun we need. We're not getting the outdoor activity that we need. We're not getting the steps that we need. Like, we're woefully under the lines of what we should be doing. And she said, oh, hold on. I want to just check one thing here. She said that, we have different scenarios that play out like this. And so I wanted to give you a couple that I kind of thought about and what would maybe really connect with you over what you're dealing with on a daily basis. So think about it this way. So you go to the doctor for bloating, low energy, weight gain around your belly, and brain fog. And we talk about those a lot. Okay. So you're bloated, you are fatigued, you have weight gain around your belly, and you have brain fog. And you're told it's just a part of aging, right? Because you're a hot mess, but they're just going to tell you it's a part of aging. And maybe they offer a prescription or they tell you to exercise more, move more, eat less, right? But no one mentions that insulin resistance might be behind it, or that ultra processed food and toxins are silently working against you. Super, super common. That's not failure of your willpower. That's a system that's trained by doctors not to connect the dots. And Dr. Casey Means says, I didn't learn anything about sleep, toxins, or food quality in medical school. So we're going to the people who are supposed to help us, and they can't help us because they're not trained about it at all. Now our children are sicker, right? Fatter, more inflamed than ever before. Like, and then they throw in the body positivity campaigns. This has nothing to do with body positivity and not shaming a child. That's ridiculous. That's extraordinarily ridiculous. That's befuddlement ridiculous. I remember, don't get me wrong, listen, I remember you didn't need to have body positivity conversations when I was growing up. I mean, I was talked to about dieting at the age of like 11. It was already in place. We're not worse than we were, but we're not fixing it by not. Had I been actually taught about food and nutrition, maybe I wouldn't have been gestational diabetic with my first baby, hypoglycemic with my second, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. However, the truth about metabolic health was never a part of the curriculum for the kids. It's still not, right? Unless you teach it yourself. But there are invisible causes of insulin resistance, and sleep deprivation is one of them. Toxins are one of them. Like, there are factors that go into this that we maybe don't think about, or we're not really taught on. So if you're staying up until midnight and you're waking up groggy and you think your hormones are just off, but this is what you don't realize. And she brings this up, that 5 nights of poor sleep, your body can be in full-blown prediabetes. 5 nights in a row of really bad sleep. That's how crucial your sleep is. Isn't that interesting? Sleep is a metabolic regulator, yet doctors get no training on it. And guess what worsens? Insulin resistance. Poor sleep equals metabolic dysfunction. Toxins in everyday life. You're eating your salad out of a plastic container. You're sipping from your BPA-filled water bottle, washing your face with aluminum-laced skincare, and wondering why your hormones feel out of whack. And I know it feels overwhelming, you guys. I'm not trying to get people to feel overwhelmed. That's not my goal here, because you can make a huge difference, right? But 1 billion pounds of pesticides, 80,000 toxins she was talking about, all affecting your mitochondria, your gut lining, and insulin response. It's all connected. It's all connected. You can even hold up a water bottle or Tupperware. Okay, got it. You can even hold up your Tupperware as an example, right? For where you might be going wrong. I have plastic containers right now that I have to get rid of. I had them as disposables for a certain thing that we did. And to be really honest, I need to just get rid of them. So you can hold up your Tupperware as something that you could trade out of your pantry, out of your cupboard, and change it out for glass. You could hold up your skincare that maybe you didn't pay attention to, and you could look at that, look at the ingredients that are in there. And if you have aluminum, pieces in your skincare, that could be something else. You could hold up your body cream that you're using, from the Bath and Body Works. And, those are called obesogens that you put on your skin. You could hold up anything that you have that would potentially have laced toxins in it and look at the ingredients and see for yourself what is really, like, what could we trade out next? What could we trade out next? And just do it one thing at a time. Just like I talked to you about food, one ingredient at a time, one recipe at a time. Okay. But if you are in the sedentary lifestyle is the last one on this particular list, you're stuck indoors most of the day. Like, come on, you guys, that's from corporate America to children in school, right? But it's not laziness. It's how modern life is built. But 3,500 steps per day is our national average. Studies show that 7,000 steps daily slashes Alzheimer's and type 2 diabetes by 40 to 60%, just by walking. Can you imagine? That's amazing. And do you know, I'll do a little side note here for you. When I was taking care of my mom, this is a super interesting correlation. So her friends that she either, I would host her friends, etc., so that she could have that older, familiar memory, because Alzheimer's, you lose your memory short term. And then pretty soon you have these memories from a long time ago still there before they go too. And so we would host her friends from a long time ago, 50-year-old friends, etc. And the friends of hers that golfed, smart as a whip. I shouldn't say smart, sharp. They were sharp. They did not seem to have memory problems. And I always thought that was so interesting. And I kept correlating it just to exercise in general. But I'll bet you anything, it has to do with the walking, and it has to do with the eye-hand coordination, etc. And you're keeping your brain, a certain part of your brain going. Isn't that interesting? Because you're moving your body and you have to think about it, etc. Very interesting. And I'm telling you, there was a very distinct difference between her friends that golfed and she who never did anything like that. Very interesting. So the food lie, you walk into the grocery store. We talked about this the other day, you guys, how I understand that, like, my made up statistic of 92% of everything at the grocery store you're never going to buy once you switch things out. I understand that. But that should then tell you that, number one, you can have maybe I said this in my group. So I don't know if I said it to you guys. Number one, that does leave you with, let's say, 8% left of the grocery store, which makes it very easy to make decisions. It's very streamlined. It's actually very simple for your brain. You don't have to question anymore, because literally, and I'm not kidding. I know the statistic was never made, but I'm not kidding. This is where my brain is for real. 92% of everything you see when you walk into a grocery store is total trash. Because it's not for the person who's insulin resistant, because it's going to raise your sugars and call on insulin. Anyway, and keep you fat. And then you're frustrated and you wonder why you're following all of the marketing and it's not working. But it does actually make life very simple for you. But if it's on the shelf, it must be safe, is maybe a thought process that we would have. But processed food makes up 67% of what our kids are eating, and each serving increases early mortality by 18%. That's what we said at the beginning. These foods are designed to be addictive and inflammatory. They're designed. You guys, I mean, if you think that they're just not knowing, the food industry copied the tobacco industry, because the tobacco industry was silenced, isn't the right word, but they were kicked down. There are no more cigarette ads on TV, right? There are warnings on every package, right? We know it's bad. I live in Minnesota. I don't know where it is where you are, but you don't go into, nobody's smoking in a restaurant in Minnesota, right? Maybe it's in your state too. We don't smoke on airlines anymore, do we? Nope. I remember flying overseas in 1996, and there was a whole smoking section in the back, right? So the tobacco industry took a hit, So they just started to design food. I mean, this is a wake up. Like, this is for real. They took addiction to just a different level. And now here we are thinking we're being, like helping our children to be safe from smoking, but they're being targeted through food. And one of the side notes was, I think it was Dr. Casey Means, who on one of the reels that I just saw yesterday, Lewis Howes was interviewing her. And she said the absolute, by far, according to the scales, like this is not, they're not guessing, the worst foods that you can be eating, the worst candies, Skittles is number one. Oh, what was number two? Oh, Sour Patch Kids was number two. She said caramel corn, Twizzlers, jelly beans. And she said, then you've got to turn and get every single piece of cereal out of your food, out of your house. Cereal, like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And she named a few and she's like, get it out of your home because it's all so high sugar spiking and addictive. Very, very interesting. So, but now even healthy foods seem to really kind of mess us up. Like, for instance, we think we're doing a good thing by going sugar-free Jell-O, but it has aspartame in it, super big gut disruptor. Natural flavors are really names for hidden chemicals, so that's an issue. Seed oils, they are insulin desensitizing. Seed oils are a big, 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 big blocker for insulin sensitivity, and it causes us issues. And this is what's keeping our body in survival mode. We're storing more fat because of it. We're spiking our blood sugar, messing with your cravings. So you're thinking you're just such a loser. You're such a lame person that doesn't have any willpower. And it's completely not true. And I am somebody of like high personal responsibility, but I understand what they've done to us now over 40 years. So she actually, Dr. Casey Means actually said that this was a spiritual wake up call. So Patty says, I have a funny story. I was so surprised my husband went to see his heart doctor yesterday and I asked him about K2G3. He didn't know what K2 was. So it really made me wonder. And D3. Yeah. Oh my gosh. The heart doctor yesterday. And you asked him about D3K2. And he didn't know what K2 was. So it made me really wonder. So the doctor didn't know or your husband didn't know, Patty? That's super interesting. D3K2 is actually extremely helpful for anybody who has insulin resistance, by the way. Very, 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 very helpful. And we got to get out in the sun. We have to get out in the sun. Like when I get done here and I go and I'm going to answer some of your questions because it's a short period in Minnesota, I'm going to go sit out in the sun on my deck while I'm talking to y'all today because I want to get sun and I'm not going to put any sunscreen on my body. I think I do have sunscreen in my foundation though. But otherwise, you've just got to give your body, and it's not like you need to be out there for hours. You need 20 minutes of good sun. Anyway, it's very, very helpful. That D3 is important. But she says it's a spiritual wake-up call. This is Dr. Casey Means, the Stanford surgeon. We're choosing to believe that we are separate from nature, that we can poison our food and air and stay well, but we can't. Health is connection, it's light, real food, movement, and restoration. But these are the things that you can do now to kind of turn these things back. And remember, I knew freaking nothing as an insulin resistant person who was addicted to sugar, wondering when I was going to end up with type 2 diabetes because my dad was insulin dependent, died at 63. My Italian family, tons of obesity, tons of type 2 diabetes. Like we were very connected to food emotionally, happy, sad, mad, you get the picture. And I just didn't think I was ever going to turn this ship around for me and just my own personal life. I really didn't. I am still on my journey, just like you are, right? I may be a little further down the road, but listen, I can pull you, like come with me, and I can help you to turn back your insulin resistance. And your life can be filled back in with color again, just like mine. Okay, so I just kind of want you to think about that for a minute. But here are some of the very practical things that you can do to help with your insulin resistance so that you can finally lose a pound or 50, so that you can finally sleep, so that you can finally have better energy, so that you can get off meds, so that you don't ache all the time, so that like the list is endless as to the benefits of what happens when you finally decide you're going to give yourself permission to take a journey, because it's not going to happen overnight. Your body needs to heal and it needs some restoration. Okay. But I'm telling you, it also is not a terminal diagnosis, and it also doesn't have to take you the next 10 years. You don't have to be a turtle like I was. Nobody has to be a turtle like me. Okay. Number one, prioritize sleep. In bed, they say in bed by 10, no screens after 9. I don't really follow that, but I do get very good sleep. And I always talk to you about that. Reach out to me if you need my duo, my power duo for sleep. I have a magnesium and ashwagandha that are mwah, and they can really shift the way you are sleeping and getting restorative sleep. Like amazing. Just message me. I get good sleep. I get really good restorative sleep. I do not go to bed by 10, but I get a good 8 hours usually. Okay. Eat real food. Should not be a shocker, right? Nothing with more than 5 ingredients or unpronounceables. Now, this is challenging, right? But the truth is that even when I teach grain-free, sugar-free, legume-free. This is such a great piece of your blueprint of transformation. Like, I'm serious. I know that there are so many of you who are like, God, I just wish that I had like I wish I had a simple step-by-step process that I could walk, that I could actually see results show up just because of the activity that I'm taking. Well, that's exactly what we do by doing a challenge every single month in the group, by targeting our supplementation instead of just throwing stuff at the wall to see what, believing everybody and anybody around us and never ever. You have no idea how many of you text me and you say, I'm taking this, and maybe one of them, like a D3K2, is actually helpful for insulin resistance. So if you've never targeted for insulin resistance, this is my specialty. This is what I talk to you about all the time, right? So eat real food. I focus on meat and eggs. And if I do dairy, full fat dairy, but I try not to do too much dairy. And some of you have to be dairy free because it's stalling your weight loss, or it's exacerbating your inflammation. So like when I make that sugar-free chocolate pudding, which is phenomenal, it's a Maria Emmerich recipe that has coconut milk in it out of a can, really, really good. But nuts or seeds, berries, greens and spaghetti squash and things that are low sugar spiking, low blood sugar, whatever, messing up your blood sugar. So all of the foods that you're eating, but you know what? Then you are eating those one ingredient. That's really my point. Then you are eating those 1, 2, 3, 5 ingredient foods, because you're just like, well, if you have a chicken thigh and asparagus, well, those are one ingredient foods. Does that make sense? I mean, you're not going to maybe find them in the aisles, right? I am super grateful though, because the grass-fed whey protein powder that I use out of my line, one of my lines, 5 ingredients, and it's sweetened with stevia, and it's grass-fed whey protein, 30 grams. That's a really good example of something that is processed, but that is not as big of an issue, and it is hard to find these things because there are so many options out there that are kind of trashy. Just going to tell you that. All right. Walk after meals, 10 minutes, better blood sugar than medication. Wow. Right. Reduce plastics and scented products. Like I said, hold up your lotion and look at the ingredients. Hold up your Tupperware and ask yourself, should I be using plastic? Hold up everything that you have that you're putting on your body, or that you're, whatever. And ask yourself if it is if it's helping, because you know your skin is your biggest organ, right? Start supporting your insulin health. Obviously, we talk about supplementation that's very, very targeted, and I can show those to you. But you can start with one thing. Start with one thing. You don't have to be overwhelmed all the time. And maybe tonight you're choosing sleep. You're like, I am going to start prioritizing my sleep because that's the biggest deal. Or you're going to swap out that plastic container that you just held up, and you're like, I'm getting rid of it now, and I'm going to go for glass. But it's about the small wins every day. You know, over time now, this has taken us a while. We have completely traded out. We have air filtration in our home that filters microplastics in the air. I know that sounds crazy, right? But we have little portable units. I had one behind me. We moved it over there. Little portable units that actually filter microplastics, because when you buy a new piece of furniture, the PFOAs and I'm not this, I'm really not, I know this sounds crazy for me to say it, and you're going to think I'm delusional. I'm really not by nature a granola person. I'm really not. As I have learned about something, I just kind of take action and then I move on. I don't really, I'm not like in it to point everything else out for everybody else. I'm just kind of like, I make oh, okay, well, I can do something about that. Oh, okay. I can throw out my plastic. Oh, okay. I'll get some glass. Oh, okay. Oh, I can get an air filtration system that like actually takes care of the microplastics in my air. Oh, okay. Okay. I can do a water filtration system that filters out microplastics. Oh, okay. I'll do that. Like those things, and then I can do that instead of drinking out of plastic water bottles, etc. Right? Like I can make choices, and not every choice is going to be perfect, but I can keep layering at my own pace and at my own ability. Right? But it's just about small wins every single day. You don't have to do things that are like so insane. So the doctor didn't know, and had to look it up on your phone and show. Wow, Patty. I know, I'm so sorry. Sometimes we maybe feel like we're a little bit alone. So she's just saying that her husband went to a heart doctor and he had no idea about D3K2 being helpful. And it's like, that's what Casey Means was doing. So today's live was about talking about Casey Means. She's the surgeon from Stanford who basically, she said, you know what? We were taught how to diagnose and cut and bill. And that's it. And she said, I just, from other pieces that I've listened to her, she said, I had to understand what the root cause was. Why did all of these people need surgery all the time? And so she became her own activist towards better health in the United States, and saying that what we're doing is, rather criminal, and we have to shift this. Well, now she's up for the Attorney General, the Surgeon General of the United States. And it's like, it kind of can give us a little bit of hope that maybe things will turn around. But in the meantime, I know that people are chasing and chasing and chasing, trying to figure out how can I change the way that my insulin resistance is affecting my weight gain, my belly fat, my fatigue, my insomnia, liver issues, digestion issues, leaky gut, all of those things where maybe we've gotten to the point, and this might be you, where you feel like, well, this is normal life for me now. It doesn't have to be normal life. Indigestion should never be normal. We talked about this yesterday with the sleep. Having to have a machine on your face is not normal. There's no judgment on it. There's just, we should not accept that as normal, as though that's the only answer. It's the same thing with my dad having a lazy Susan full of medication. That was deemed normal for the average type 2 diabetic person back in the 80s and 90s. And then he was dead at 63 with a lazy Susan full of meds. So the faster that we can wake up and realize that they are not creating an environment for us to heal, the faster that we can actually take back our health and give ourselves permission. So any one of you that is like doing the free challenges that we do every month in the group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women, like, was it you, Terry? I can't remember, 16 of them in a row. That tells me that you're, like you said to yourself at some point, doggone it, That's it. I'm taking care of me. I'm going to get me functioning. I'm going to live my life in Technicolor. I'm going to feel good so that I can make my own memories, so that I can have my own future, so that whatever it is for you, because there's a lot actually that kind of stirs inside of me because of taking care of my mom with dementia for 5 years, because of my dad dying at 63 type 2 diabetes, because, like my grandkids never got to know their Italian grandpa who was super eccentric, and they would have really had so much fun knowing my kids never got to know him, and he was a hoot and a holler, and they would have loved to have known. And all of these things, they stir inside of me. And so for you, you've got stuff that stirs inside of you as to why you want to take your health back like right now. Okay. Type 2 for you. 12 for you, Terry. Terry's on her 12th challenge. That's a full year. You guys, the time's going to pass anyway, right? So, and I've kind of laid it out a little differently in different times, but you know what? There is kind of like a good, better, best option that you guys can think about. And you can always ask me for a cart. Did you know that? You can ask me and say, hey, I saw you on your live, and like, I need a cart designed for me. This is what I got going on. And then let's design something, but let me just give you a kind of like a blueprint of an idea. How does that sound, right? And I don't know if you also know that I will jump on the phone with you if you feel like you need to be able to debrief with somebody. Okay. This is what sets me apart than other people in the industry of health and wellness when it comes to insulin resistance. This is where I started a little over 10 years ago. So this isn't something I started last week. Okay. And then I have spent countless hours and voice text messages and phone calls and Zoom consultations and like you name it, emails, like how else do you, puffs of smoke in the air. Just kidding. Haven't done that one, but I'm just saying, like, just so many interactions with you to help you navigate this journey so you can get the results, right? It warms my heart because, again, I've kind of got a little bit of a beef with the medical system. So talking about Casey Means makes me very happy. And if we can go in that direction for our country, I'll be very happy. So very briefly, a really, really good way to start to go from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive is the trio, the 3 supplements that have the 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. This is where I start. And this is all I did with changing out my food ingredients to help me lose 3 sizes in my 50s. Super simple. Like, don't overcomplicate this. And don't allow yourself to get confused so that you do nothing. That's just a form of self-sabotage because maybe you're afraid of accountability or responsibility right now. Don't do that. You can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. And don't be mean or hard to yourself. So 3 supplements to help with insulin sensitivity. There are 3 ingredients that are helping you work on that. And then plus. Okay. So that's the trio. That's a really good way to start. If you want to up that whole system of what you're trying to accomplish, I highly recommend adding into that the gut primer and a probiotic. Because if you already know that you have leaky gut, and a lot of people with insulin resistance, because it's creating it, and you need to get your gut recalibrated so you can actually absorb the nutrients from the supplements you're taking or from the food that you're eating. If you have constipation, again, not normal. You're not supposed to live with constipation. You're not supposed to be taking over-the-counter meds that are making your body used to having to have help all the time because it can't do it on its own. Those are symptoms of not normal. We have to normalize things that are not normal. We have to be able to call that out and say, no, everybody shouldn't be taking Tums every 2 seconds. My mother had the largest jar of Tums and they tasted like candy. Come on. Anybody else? All the different colors and flavors. She ate them like candy because she had indigestion all the time. Not normal. So maybe you don't have a gallbladder. Maybe you just know that you have leaky gut because that has been your life with, insulin resistance. Well, a gut primer can completely shift everything in your world. It's unlike anything else that I've ever tried. A greens product is just a greens product. Love a greens product. I have an organic greens product in my line. Love it. My husband loves it. It's sweetened with stevia and he uses it in conjunction with this. He loves that. This is a different ball game. This is a completely different ballgame. This is digestive enzymes, pre-postbiotic, fermented greens because they're super absorbable and tender for your tummy. Alkaline spices because we need an alkaline environment so that we don't create more and more disease. What else am I missing? Fiber, but not like massive amounts of fiber, not cheap fiber, like I'm not going to name names, like other, it's a different concept, and all the high antioxidants from fruits and vegetable extracts, like off of organic farms. Stop making your body work so hard. You have to stop making your liver work so hard. So this is liver health in a container. I take 1 scoop and I put it in cold water, and I take it like a shot, like you would take a health shot. Okay. So that is that with the probiotic. These are 5 live strains that you put on. You could sprinkle it on cold food. I just put it on my tongue because it tastes like a cereal bag, because I'm weird and I own that. And this is a better option, like Trio plus the gut reset protocol. These 2, better option. The best option, this is such a good option, you guys. And the results that are coming from people that are doing everything is amazing. This is an orange pixie stick, and it targets your visceral fat. So I really, really, really want people to think about this. If you have fatty liver because you have insulin resistance, you probably have fat around other areas in your body. Now, I will never make claims on anything I'm talking about, but I have story after story after story. And now we're getting visceral scans that are coming back showing people 90 days doing this. Tastes like candy. It's like amazing. That's whatever. This tastes like tea. I'm not a big tea drinker, but I'll do a good shot of it. That's not hard. A little turmeric-y, a little gingery. This is orange, just like you think it's orange pixie stick. Like tastes like Jell-O powder. So you put this on your tongue, but it targets, it's a clinical dose. It's targeting your visceral fat. What a gift. What an absolute gift to give yourself, to turn back, because that visceral fat is alive. Did you know that? It's alive. It's emitting hormones. It's emitting inflammation. You have to tamp it down. You have to turn things back. You've got to go way, 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 way inside, and then go from the inside out. You have to get inside and detail your engine, and then go out. And then everything else that you're doing, all of the food that you're eating is going to work better for you. All the supplements that you're taking are going to work better for you. Like, this is a whole thought process. So all of them together, I have just kind of named it the total body reset, because that's exactly what it's doing. And every single piece helps with insulin sensitivity. Every single piece. And then I'll wrap up with this, because we are going to do live today in the group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women, and that's at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are wrapping up a week of our free 5-day insulin resistant reset challenge. And we will go through this at a little deeper level. Okay. For anybody that wants to have a little deeper level than that, that's very, overview, with testimonies and all that good stuff. But don't forget, and I kind of started the live this way today because I don't want you to forget that when I know what it looks like to move your, the investment of your resources, maybe from a naturopath or from over-the-counter meds, which could potentially be a lot, or, all the different co-pays and all that stuff, and you're trying to transition that over into wellness for yourself like this, you want something that will actually help you to be able to accomplish that with a little bit of a perk, right? So, and I know that Terry has taken advantage of this. It's like when you purchase 150 or more 3 months in a row, and this is ongoing, you guys, you can start it right now this month. On that 3rd month, you will earn $75 off of that 3rd order. And so this is a really big deal. And I know I forget to mention things like this, but the truth is that if I would have had that when I started everything, and I started to add one supplement here, one supplement there, another one here, instead of diversifying in a not good way, you're getting this one over at Walgreens, and then you're going to a Mart over here, and then you get one over at Costco, and then you get one off of Amazon, and then you got all these different areas that you're getting things from. What happens then is that maybe you're not even paying attention to an opportunity where if you streamline everything in one place, you could really be cashing in. And right now, more than ever, I think people are looking for a way to find products that are made in the United States that are organic, and that you can actually be bonused for thinking about getting, things under one roof, so to speak. It's very, very beneficial. So that's why you'll notice we do talk about magnesium and ashwagandha and vitamin D3, K2, and wild caught fish oil, etc. Because you can get it all in one place, and then you can just cash in every 3 months, and it makes life so much easier for you. And because it's an investment, you know darn well that your insurance company, they're just not going to cover your investment in wellness. It's not their goal. They will not benefit you towards the goal of your wellness. And if they do give you a script for a supplement, who do you think made the supplement? Do you think it was anybody other than a PHARMA company? No, they're not stupid. So I just want you to think about that. But if you ever have any questions, reach out to me. My contact information is super easy, like Messenger, inbox, and Instagram. TikTok, you can message me, but I will come back and I will say to you, do you want to do text, email, Instagram? Because I can't send you anything on TikTok. So just know that we can start the conversation there. Otherwise, you can go over to Instagram. He also told me that fish oil is not good for you. Isn't that crazy to take petrol tablets? I know there's such a controversy over that, Patty, with fish oil. I really, really do. But I really also believe that it has to do with the processing of fish oil. I think that's really where it lies. It happens. I do not doubt that there's a lot of trash fish oil on the shelf. I don't doubt that at all. I really don't. But I do think that if you have wild caught at the beginning and you have processes that are so strict that you can produce a product that is not that is beneficial and not negative for the body. And because I understand, it's kind of like, when we talk about different oils and how they can oxidize so quickly, and you do have to be careful about that, like using olive oil at high heat, things like that. Instead, you're supposed to use avocado oil. And, we're learning these things, right? Olive oil is really good for your salad and to be eaten cold, or some people even take it like by the teaspoon or whatever, or dip your bread in it. And what I mean is the egg white bread, right? Because we're doing no grain. But just, I still think that, I understand that there's a controversy. So I'm aware. But anyway, so I just wanted to say that. All right, I'm going to jump off because you guys, at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're going to come back into the group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. I should slow that down. Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. And we're going to go ahead and go over the supplementation much more deeply just because it's day 4. Tomorrow, we're going to do a flourless chocolate lava cake that is keto. Woo, baby. I am telling you what, that is good. That is very, very good. And if you go to my site, I was going to show you my site so that you can, if you go to my first last name.com, kirstenliebelt.com, at the top, you can text me there. Okay. You can text me and you can say, hey, I was on your live and I need information on, maybe you just have questions about different pieces of the reset. So you guys have a very good day. I'll see you back here again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central. And if you're in the group, hallelujah. I'll keep checking to see if anybody's getting in there. And then we'll party down at 3 p.m. Central. So if you need anything, let me know. All right. See you later, you guys.